Okay, so we've talked about how to select and mask, how to select objects, and how to transform them. So what I want to do is for surrealism, right? The thing about surrealism is that it started with artists who used the concept of how surreal your dreams are, meaning that it seems real, there are real components to it, but it has this feeling that's off because in some capacity it violates the laws of physics or the theories of biology or something that couldn't happen in reality, and that's what makes it surreal. So in this case I want to take the steampunk fairy and move her onto the image of the plant that I have over here, the succulent that I have over here, and work with that. So the first thing I'm going to do is use my object selection tool to select her from the green screen. And it did pretty well. I'm going to come back and kind of get rid of some of this subtract. I need a bigger brush. Okay, so I want to get rid of the chair. Whoops, went too far in. Clean those up. If you see any marching ants, make sure you click on them, otherwise it'll take tiny pixels. Okay, now I'm going to add back. There we go, pretty good. Part of her foot need a smaller brush. Okay, I've got chair in there, get that out. And it did really, really well around the green screen. It's got some webbing in her fingers in there. So I'm going to now zoom in, and this is one of the things you want to do. You want to zoom in and then go around, and anything that you can clean up that's easy to clean up, go ahead and do that. So I want to subtract, and I need a smaller brush. There we go. Okay, that looks good. Oh, we want to add. It missed part of the skirt right here. Around the chair. Oh, we need to subtract some more of the chair. Oh, too far. It's a battle. There we go. And you do want to take your time. The more time you spend on this, the better the output is. Okay. That looks good. Oh, we're missing some of her foot over here. We want to add this in. Make sure you get all that. And missing part of her foot there, there. And then subtract just that little bit of green. Come on. Okay. Oh, we're missing part of her heel right there. There we go. Okay. So view, fit on screen. And now I can select and mask. And you can see I did a pretty good job because I went around and added some stuff. I didn't get that. So come in and add this. Okay, that's pretty good. So the only thing I may want to do at this point is maybe no, we're pretty good with just one. I like to feather just maybe just a tiny bit at least. it does help soften the transition between the object. It makes it feels like it's in the scene a little more. And I don't think I need to shift the edge at this point. And we're gonna make a layer mask and say okay. And that's good. And so I'm gonna drag and drop her into my new image. And she's too big. So scale her down. I can't see any of that. Okay, so I can't see any of that, and that happens sometimes. So what I can actually do is come in here and you see the percentage. So let's say I know that I want to make her 50% smaller. Type in 50, see how that works. I'm going to do just a little bit more, 40. I don't want her too small. Okay. And check mark. And there we go. And now I have my fairy on the leaf in my scene. And of course, she's got that hard edge that we're going to might have to, let's rotate this. I'm aligning the edge of where she's sitting with the edge of the leaf. There we go. So it looks like she fits. Pretty cool, huh? Now, obviously, she needs layer beneath. We need some shadows, and one way you can do that is to say layer. Whoops, sorry, hang on. Let's do this. Let's do it as part of an FX, right? Drop shadow. Let's see how that works. That's pretty good, actually. Okay, so we want to change the color. We had made it a different color. I'm going to go back to black. And I'm going to make it. All right, so this is going to give me an indication of how dark I want to make that. And then the angle for where I should make it. So when I look at this as to where shadows go, they do seem to be going. Let's just spin it and see how it looks if I move it away from. Usually when you take a picture like this, the light source sometimes is the camera. So I've moved it so that it's the light source is, that's all right. I'm just making some minor adjustments to how big I want it. I like it like the spread, because the spread on these shadows. And you're just kind of looking at the shadows in the scene and you don't see any hard shadows. So I've adjusted the size and I think that looks pretty, I think that looks pretty good. The only thing I might do is pick that color. Oh yeah, so I just picked the shadow out of there. I think that's a better, there we go. I think that's better. Let's make it a little bit darker. Okay, so now I have a shadow and I have both. You can see I have my mask and my effect on one picture. And the beautiful thing about this is that it is applying the effect after the mask so that it didn't just make a big giant square here, because I originally have a big giant square for my photo. Now, the image of her is not quite as soft as it is for the plant. So I can continue to add different, I don't want to get into levels and curves yet, but those would help. Let's just add a brightness contrast level at this point and bring down some of the brightness on her. Now we're just looking at her. I know it's impacting the whole image, but we're just going to bring it down. There we go. That looks pretty good. And then Control, create clipping mask. There we go. So now another thing, I don't really care for the red in her outfit being that bright red. So I'm going to do a hue saturation. Go ahead and create a clipping mask. And now I'm going to go to red. And I want to bring down saturation. There we go. So it's not quite so garish, and make it a little closer to pink. So she fits in better with this pink in the scene. Let's make it a little bit darker. Okay. And so that's the kind of thing that you do to create a surreal collage. You find a bunch of disparate elements and you bring them together and unify them. Okay, so at the very end, one of the really cool things that I like about the current versions of Adobe is they've made their filters smarter. There's an entire filter gallery. Oh, I think this is image mode RGB. Okay. It's not going to use any of these filters. Let's see if it lets me. Okay, well now you have to select. You can't be on one of those layers. You have to be on an object layer. So there are some filters that you can use, filter gallery, that will allow you to do all kinds of really interesting things. Now, because this is a destructive, filters are a destructive thing to do, save your image. So I'm going to save this as Surreal Collage. Okay, and then I'm going to layer, flatten image, file, save as. Okay, and so it will now apply the filter. So before, I mean, you could still work with it that way, but it's a destructive thing to do. So I've got my original photo. I can go back to it. I got my original document. And so what I'm going to do here is filter. You've got filter gallery. And it's going to allow me to apply any of these creative filters to the entire image. And you see there's a whole bunch of them in here. This cutout's pretty cool. Actually, that's pretty cool. Right? And so you see how that is instantly created something a little more artsy. It's unified the whole thing because it's applied a style over the entire image. And you've got tons of these. And, you just go in here and they all look pretty good on this one, actually. You just go around and play with them and see. That's cool, too. And see what works, what fits. And you can make adjustments to each one of them. That's a big brush. That's a small brush. And when you do this, it applies this really cool unified effect to your final image. You have one that you can work with brush strokes, and you can stack as many of these on top of each other as you want. Every time you say okay, you can keep adding them and adding them. I'm going to say cancel. I'm going to show you the other one right here. Actually, let's stop this here, and I will continue in the next video.